Welcome to the PayOutPlaybook, your go-to show for all things football betting. I'm your host, Michael Jascott, aka Mikey Pick'em, and today we're breaking down the biggest matchups and betting opportunities for Week 0. It's the start of the college football season, yes, and if you're looking to get an edge on the sports book or just want to stay informed, you've come to the right place. On today's episode, we'll cover our top picks against the spread and some key over-under totals to keep an eye on. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Football betting's back again. Let's kick things off with our game of the week. We've got Iowa State versus Kansas State live from Dublin, Ireland. Farmageddon, as we say around these parts. The spread is currently set at 3.5, with K-State being favored, with the total over-under sitting at 49.5 points. Minus 110 juice on both sides for each of those bets, by the way. Let's start with Iowa State. Offensively, they have a system led by quarterback Rocco Becht. Last season, he had a completion percentage slightly below 60%, but threw for 25 touchdowns and only 9 picks. He did lose top wide receiver Jaden Hankins to the NFL draft, as well as his second most utilized receiver, Jalen Noel. Both went to the Texans, coincidentally. These two accounted for more than 160 catches, 2,200 receiving yards, and 17 touchdowns. It will be crucial for Iowa State to establish some younger receivers in camp to get Becht some reliable pass catchers in the opening matchup. Now, Becht isn't a dual threat, so most of the damage comes through the air. Short to intermediate routes are the key, but he does have plenty of tape airing it out downfield last season. I fully expect them to test Kansas State's linebackers and nickelbacks with crossing routes and some up-tempo. Now, Kansas State, they're going to punch you in the mouth. The Wildcats lean into a power spread attack with quarterback Avery Johnson, who's electric with his legs, all behind a talented offensive line and a newly minted starting running back Dylan Edwards. When last year's starter DJ Giddens opted to skip the bowl game, Edwards stepped up and rushed for 2 touchdowns in a win against Rutgers. Giddens had more than 1,300 rushing yards last season and 7 touchdowns. But the shocking stat is this one. Ready? 6.6 yards per attempt. Their scheme is built to wear you down and hit you off the play action. Johnson threw for 2,700 yards with 25 touchdowns and only 10 picks. He ran for another 600. Defensively, both squads run a base 3-3-5, 3 linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 DBs, but they use it differently. Iowa State likes to run what they call a 3-safety scheme, and they want to limit big explosive plays. It thrives against spread teams, but has a known weakness: power run games. And that's exactly what Kansas State brings. Iowa State was 125th in the nation last year versus the run. It was abysmal. 5.5 yards a rush allowed is not where you want to be. Meanwhile, Kansas State's defense is more rigid. They don't blitz often, but their DBs press and force you to make tight throws. So where's the edge, you ask? Schematically, Kansas State has the upper hand. Their quarterback run-heavy attack puts real stress on Iowa State's 3-man front. If Johnson gets going on the ground, Iowa State's safeties are going to be forced down to the box, and that opens the door for the vertical game. On the flip side, Iowa State can move the ball, but if they hit their tempo, they can exploit KSA's defense. But history tells us these games are tight. 6 of the last 10 have been decided by 3 points or less. Iowa State is 8-2 against the spread versus K-State in the last 10 matchups, with 6 of the games totaling at least 50 points. I'm keeping an eye on the over 49.5 because both offenses can certainly scheme up points. Next, let's jump into my top picks against the spread for Week 0. These are games where I think I've got a strong edge based on team trends and last season's performance. First up, I'm taking Western Kentucky. That's right, the Hilltoppers, minus 9.5 against Sam Houston State, the Bearcats. Over-under set at 59.5, but for the time being, I'm not going to pursue that. Western Kentucky got itself a new quarterback this season in Maverick McIver, a dude who threw 30 touchdowns and just 7 picks last season for FCS Abilene Christian. However, the Bearcats do have a new coach in Phil Longo, a Jersey guy like myself and a practitioner of the air raid. It didn't work out for Longo in Madison, Wisconsin, Madtown as we say around here, as a member of the Badgers. He was fired in November by Luke Fickell. However, the Bearcat offense if it can click and keep up with the Hilltoppers, this may be a game to bet the over. That said, we never know how things are going to turn out with a new coach and a debut. And also, Sam Houston State returns quarterback Hunter Watson, who threw for just 12 touchdowns last season. So I'd lean the over, but at this point, I'm not confident in picking that and putting money on that. Looking at the last season's trends, Western Kentucky was 4-2 against the spread at home, while Sam Houston State was 2-4 against the spread on the road. When these teams met last season in Huntsville, the Hilltoppers won 31-14. I'll take the Hilltoppers minus 9.5. Let's talk over-under totals now. Here's a game where I see good value on the total points line. I'm targeting Fresno State at Kansas with a total set at 50.5 points. Minus 110 juice, of course. The last 4 Jayhawk home games have totaled over 50 points, and Fresno State has seen 3 of the last 5 away games go over 50 as well. I don't imagine Kansas having difficulty scoring in this game. Quarterback Jalen Daniels is back for his final season after throwing 14 touchdowns and 12 picks last season, but he did rush for 6 scores as well. He's very electric. Coach Lance Leipold enters his 5th season with the Jayhawks, and after a little digging through the schedule and scores over the last 4 years, I discovered that 8 of 10 Kansas home games in August and September since 2021 have gone over 50 points. That's 80%. Not bad, though. I do have a few concerns with Fresno State offense. With their offense, however, they just recently named E.J. Warner, son of Kurt Warner, the starting quarterback. He started 2 seasons at Temple and another at Rice, but interceptions tend to follow him. He's thrown 37 in his college career. The Bulldogs are known for their passing attack, but last year's starter Mikey Keene has since transferred to Michigan. Keene, no relation to me, Mikey Pickham, threw for 18 touchdowns last season and completed nearly 71% of his passes. Due to the uncertainty of the quarterback situation for the Bulldogs, I lean Kansas at minus 13.5, but my play here is the over 50.5. All right, before we wrap this baby up, let's get to some listener questions for the weekend. Number 1, and the only question today. Clemson hasn't seemed too sharp for the past few seasons. They did make the playoff last year, but they don't appear to be elite anymore. How do you see Clemson doing this season? That's a great question. Certainly, Clemson is a team that a lot of people are looking at to get back into that elite status. In 2023, Clemson was 4-4 in the ACC. Florida State won 8-0. Last year, SMU, the Ponies, won 8-0 in the conference. And Clemson, although they won the conference title game, finished the season with 4 total losses. Week 1, they got pummeled by Georgia 30-43, and they did lose to Louisville and South Carolina. They lost some talent to transfers and to the draft. Running back Phil Maffa went to the Cowboys in the 7th round, for example. He had over 1,200 scrimmage yards last season, but we do see the return of Cade Klubnik, a quarterback, Antonio Williams at receiver, and a nasty defensive line. I think Dabo Swinney wants to right the ship, and Clemson improves upon their 51st nationally ranked scoring defense from last season. Clemson to make the playoffs minus 200 seems great to me. I know there's a lot of juice in it, but I'll take it. That's how confident I am in Clemson in the ACC this season. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Payout Playbook. I hope these insights help you make smarter bets and maybe even win some money this weekend. I do it for you. I love college football, and I absolutely love the idea of helping you make a couple extra bucks and spending it where you'd like. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Next week, we may do some team win totals to start the season. Good luck with your bets, and we'll see you next week for more college football action. Enjoy week 0.